Have you ever wondered why a book of the Bible that's only one chapter long could carry a message so intense it shakes nations? Imagine a prophecy written thousands of years ago, yet its warning feels sharper than ever today. That's Obadiah, a name most people scroll past, but inside, it holds a story of betrayal, judgment, and a reminder of God's justice that you absolutely cannot ignore. By the end of this video, you'll see why this tiny book might just be the most important warning for our world today. Introduction. Obadiah is the shortest book in the Old Testament, yet it's one of the most explosive. With only 21 verses, it doesn't waste a single word. On the surface, it's a prophecy against Edom, a nation descended from Esau, Israel's brother. But if you dig deeper, you'll see that it's not just about ancient nations. It's about human pride, betrayal, and the consequences of ignoring God's will. Many people skip Obadiah because it feels like a historical footnote. Just another prophecy about some long-lost nation, they think. But the truth is, Obadiah speaks directly to anyone who has witnessed betrayal, who has seen arrogance thrive, and who wonders how justice can seem so delayed. Historical context: Edom and Israel. To understand Obadiah, we need to understand the historical context. Edomites were descendants of Esau, the twin brother of Jacob, later called Israel. These two nations had a complicated history, marked by rivalry, jealousy, and betrayal. When Israel faced attacks, Edom often sided with their enemies or celebrated Israel's suffering. Think about it. Your closest relatives are attacked, and instead of helping, your supposed allies rejoice. That's exactly the kind of betrayal Obadiah is warning about. And this is where the book becomes chillingly relevant. It shows that God sees every act of pride, cruelty, or opportunistic betrayal, and judgment is inevitable. The heart of Obadiah. Pride and downfall. Obadiah 1 verse 3 says, "The pride of your heart has deceived you, you who live in the clefts of the rocks and make your home on the heights." Pride is a recurring theme here. Edom believed their geographical security, their mountains and fortresses, made them untouchable. They thought their lineage, their history, gave them a kind of divine immunity. But God's message is clear. Pride blinds us to reality. It makes us think we are untouchable, and in our arrogance, we often harm others without realizing that consequences are coming. Obadiah reminds us that no amount of natural security or social power can protect us from divine justice. Betrayal and consequences. Obadiah 1 verses 10 to 14 details Edom's betrayal of Israel, highlighting acts of violence during times of weakness. They didn't just stand by, they actively exploited Israel's suffering. And here's the lesson. When we exploit others' pain, especially when God is calling us to act righteously, we are stepping into dangerous territory. The book doesn't just describe Edom's sins. It predicts the outcome. Their arrogance and betrayal will lead to destruction. And this is where it becomes personal. In our own lives, every action motivated by pride, revenge, or jealousy has consequences, even if we don't see them immediately. God's justice and hope. Despite the intensity of judgment, Obadiah also carries a message of hope. Verse 17 says, "But on Mount Zion there will be deliverance. It will be holy, and Jacob will possess his inheritance." For those who remain faithful, justice is not just a distant concept. It is real, tangible, and inevitable. This duality, warning and hope, is what makes Obadiah so powerful. It's not a story of despair. It's a story of divine balance. God sees both the oppressors and the oppressed. Justice may be delayed, sometimes for centuries, but it is never denied. Lessons for today. Now, why should Obadiah matter to us today? Let's translate this ancient prophecy into modern life. Watch your pride. We all have areas where we feel untouchable: jobs, wealth, status. Obadiah warns that overconfidence can blind us. Avoid exploiting others. Just as Edom took advantage of Israel, there are opportunities in life where we might harm others for gain. Avoid them. Trust in justice. We live in a world where wrongdoing often seems rewarded. Obadiah reminds us that God's justice is real. It may be delayed, but it's inevitable. Stay faithful, For those who act with integrity, even amid betrayal and chaos, God promises deliverance. These lessons are timeless. Whether you're facing betrayal at work, struggling with jealousy, or wrestling with pride, Obadiah speaks directly to your heart. Human connection, a real-life parallel. Consider a situation in everyday life. A colleague takes credit for your work, a friend spreads rumors, or someone close celebrates your failures. That betrayal hurts deeply, right? Obadiah tells us that God sees these injustices. Just as Edom couldn't escape accountability, those who harm others for selfish gain will face consequences. It's a reminder that life isn't always fair, but fairness isn't absent. It's delayed, sometimes by centuries in history, sometimes by moments in life, but it's coming. The urgency of Obadiah. Why should we care now? Because human nature hasn't changed. Pride, betrayal, and exploitation still happen daily. Obadiah is a wake-up call. The same patterns that led to Edom's downfall are alive today. Ignoring them only invites consequences. This book isn't just a historical record. It's a mirror. It reflects our society, our relationships, and our personal choices. Obadiah asks us to reflect. Are we living with integrity? Or are we letting pride and betrayal shape our lives? What comes next is the deeper unraveling of Edom's pride and how its consequences mirror the choices we make today. Obadiah doesn't just tell a story of ancient rivalry. It warns us about the dangers of arrogance in every era, including our own lives. The Edomites thought their mountains and fortresses could shield them from harm, but pride is never a true protection. Edom's false security. Verse 3 of Obadiah explains their overconfidence. The pride of your heart has deceived you. You make your home on the heights. They assumed that natural defenses, high cliffs, strong fortifications, made them untouchable. In a modern context, this is like believing wealth, position, or influence will shield you from consequences. We often see this today. People with power exploit others, thinking they're invincible. Leaders, corporations, even individuals sometimes make decisions without fear of accountability. Obadiah reminds us that no external advantage can replace humility and integrity. Betrayal amplified. Lessons in human nature. Edom's betrayal went beyond opportunism. It was calculated. When Israel was weak, Edom struck, rejoiced, and took advantage. History repeats itself in human behavior. In workplaces, communities, or families, those who act selfishly or exploit others often face eventual consequences. Consider the lesson. Every harmful action, no matter how clever or hidden, carries a price. Obadiah highlights that divine justice eventually reaches everyone, even when the world seems blind to wrongdoing. The certainty of judgment. Obadiah 1 verse 15 emphasizes this truth. The day of the Lord is near for all nations. God's justice is impartial. The book repeatedly underscores that pride, arrogance, and betrayal are not invisible to God. For us today, it's a warning. Don't wait for someone else to enforce accountability. God's principles of justice are universal, and our actions, good or bad, never go unnoticed. Edom's downfall. The role of karma in life. Obadiah describes how Edom's arrogance and betrayal led to destruction. Their secure mountains couldn't save them, their alliances couldn't protect them, and their lineage didn't guarantee safety. This is life's principle. Actions have consequences. History shows it repeatedly. Those who harm others eventually face challenges they cannot escape. And Obadiah frames this as more than historical fact, it's moral law. The role of faithfulness and hope. While Obadiah warns about pride and betrayal, it also points to hope. Verse 17 highlights deliverance for those who remain faithful. On Mount Zion there will be deliverance. It will be holy, and Jacob will possess his inheritance. This duality, warning for the arrogant, hope for the faithful, is central to Obadiah's message. It reassures that while wrongdoing is punished, integrity and patience are rewarded. For individuals living today, this is profoundly relevant. Remaining righteous in the face of injustice is not futile. It's a promise of eventual vindication. Modern applications. pride, betrayal, and responsibility. Obadiah isn't just a story of the past. It's a mirror for our modern lives. Consider these points. Recognize your vulnerability. Pride can blind us, making us overconfident in our career, relationships, or social status. Act with integrity. When we see opportunities to exploit others, resisting is crucial. Obadiah shows that wrong actions may seem safe temporarily, but consequences are inevitable. Trust in divine justice. Even if immediate justice isn't visible, the principle that wrongdoing is eventually addressed is timeless. Faith and patience rewarded. Standing by what's right, even when it's hard, brings lasting deliverance and peace. Human connection. Real-life scenarios. Let's connect this to everyday life. Imagine a colleague takes credit for your work, a friend betrays your trust, or a relative celebrates your failure. The immediate pain is real, but Obadiah reminds us that life eventually balances the scales. Edom's story teaches that betrayal and arrogance carry a cost. It may take time, but justice comes in one form or another. By reflecting on these principles, we are encouraged to live ethically, even when faced with personal challenges or injustice. Symbolism and deeper meaning. Obadiah uses Edom as a symbol, but the message extends to every individual and nation. Pride, arrogance, and betrayal are universal traits, and ignoring them invites disaster. Conversely, humility, faithfulness, and compassion align with God's plan, leading to deliverance. The book is short, but its symbolism is vast. Mountains, fortresses, and historical rivalries aren't just literal. They're metaphors for the ways humans try to protect themselves from accountability. Obadiah cuts through the illusion and reminds us that nothing can hide us from divine justice. Warning to the arrogant. For those who live in arrogance, Obadiah is a stark warning. Verse 10 states, "Because of the violence against your brother Jacob, you will be covered with shame." Those who exploit, rejoice in others' misfortune, or ignore ethical responsibility eventually face consequences that cannot be avoided. In our modern world, arrogance can take many forms, exploiting coworkers, abusing influence, or dismissing ethical concerns. Obadiah says clearly, no matter the disguise, justice finds its way. Hope for the faithful and oppressed. Obadiah also reassures the oppressed and faithful. The prophecy promises that those who endure injustice and maintain integrity will see deliverance. It's not a vague promise. It's a declaration of God's unwavering moral order. This dual message makes Obadiah timeless. It speaks to victims of injustice, reminding them that their suffering is noticed and that patience, faith, and ethical living have tangible outcomes. Obadiah 1 verse 4 warns, "Though you soar like the eagle and make your nest among the stars, from there I will bring you down, declares the Lord." The imagery is vivid. Edom believed their height, their safety, and their lineage made them untouchable. In life today, people often behave the same way. We rely on position, money, or reputation as shields. But Obadiah shows that external advantages cannot protect arrogance or wrongdoing. Pride may make us feel untouchable, but reality, like divine justice, always catches up. Betrayal revisited. A universal pattern. The betrayal of Israel by Edom was not just opportunistic, it was deliberate. Verse 10 reminds us, "Because of the violence against your brother Jacob, you will be covered with shame." Betrayal leaves a stain that cannot be hidden. Consider modern examples. Relationships, workplaces, or communities are often disrupted by selfish motives. People take advantage of trust, exploit weaknesses, or rejoice in others' failures. Obadiah shows that these actions have consequences, sometimes immediate, sometimes delayed, but they are unavoidable. God's justice as a guiding principle. Obadiah repeatedly emphasizes that God's justice is impartial. Verse 15 declares, "The day of the Lord is near for all nations. As you have done, it will be done to you. Your deeds will return upon your own head." This is a timeless principle. Whether in ancient Edom or modern society, ethical breaches, exploitation, and arrogance always have repercussions. Obadiah reminds us to live with awareness. Every action has consequences, whether we see them immediately or not. Edom's fate and life lessons. Edom's downfall is not just historical, it's symbolic. The mountains and fortresses that once seemed impregnable could not save them. Alliances and heritage could not prevent the consequences of their arrogance and betrayal. For us today, the lesson is clear. Nothing external can replace ethical living. Wealth, influence, or status may offer temporary comfort, but integrity, humility, and faithfulness are the true protections. Obadiah teaches that actions rooted in pride and selfishness eventually lead to collapse, while righteousness endures. Faithfulness in adversity. Verse 17 emphasizes hope. But on Mount Zion there will be deliverance. It will be holy, and Jacob will possess his inheritance. This promise is for those who remain faithful despite injustice, betrayal, or adversity. Modern life mirrors this principle. Individuals, communities, or even nations facing injustice can find encouragement here. Maintaining integrity and faith is not in vain. It has tangible, long-term rewards. Obadiah assures that patience, ethical behavior, and trust in God are never wasted. The broader implications, personal and social. Obadiah's message extends beyond history into our personal and social lives. Avoid prideful isolation. Believing we are above accountability is dangerous. Reject exploitation. Using opportunities to harm others brings inevitable consequences. Recognize justice. Even if invisible, divine or moral justice balances the scales. Cultivate faith. Integrity in adversity is rewarded, sometimes in unexpected ways. These principles are universal, teaching us to reflect on our choices and interactions daily. Human connection. Everyday applications. Imagine a scenario. A coworker takes credit for your project, a friend spreads rumors, or a family member manipulates circumstances for personal gain. These experiences mirror Edom's betrayal. Obadiah's message reassures that such actions are seen, accounted for, and will face consequences. While life may appear unfair temporarily, justice, divine or natural, eventually prevails. This is a lesson not just for others, but for ourselves. Our integrity is our shield and our responsibility. Symbolism in Obadiah. Edom's mountains and fortresses symbolize human attempts to secure power, safety, or influence. Pride, arrogance, and betrayal are timeless traits. The book of Obadiah strips away illusions, showing that no external advantage can protect moral failings. The story also reflects the duality of life. Wrongdoing leads to downfall, while faith and integrity lead to deliverance. This mirrors our own lives, communities, and societies. The choices we make, ethical or selfish, carry consequences that shape not only our present but our future. Warning for the arrogant. Obadiah 1 verse 10 is a clear admonition. Because of the violence against your brother Jacob, you will be covered with shame. Arrogance and exploitation always leave a mark. In modern society, this might be corporate corruption, misuse of power, or personal betrayal. Obadiah reminds us that no matter how invisible or distant the consequences seem, they will manifest. Ethical living is the safeguard against eventual shame or collapse. Hope and deliverance for the faithful. Obadiah's message is not just cautionary, it's reassuring. The faithful, who endure injustice and act righteously, are promised deliverance. This balance, warning for the arrogant, hope for the faithful, makes Obadiah relevant across centuries. Faithful behavior is rewarded, sometimes not immediately, but inevitably. For anyone enduring hardship, betrayal, or challenges, this is a source of comfort. Trusting in justice, while maintaining integrity, aligns us with a greater plan. Obadiah 1 verse 4 says, "Though you soar like the eagle and make your nest among the stars, from there I will bring you down, declares the Lord." This isn't just poetic, it's symbolic. The Edomites believed their high mountains and secure cities made them untouchable. They imagined themselves above reproach, beyond reach, invincible. In today's world, this mirrors people who rely on power, wealth, or social status as shields. They believe their position protects them from consequences, but Obadiah reminds us that pride has no invincibility. No matter how high we climb, actions rooted in arrogance or harm are ultimately accountable. The power of betrayal. Edom's betrayal of Israel was deliberate and cruel. Obadiah 1 verse 10 emphasizes this. Because of the violence against your brother Jacob, you will be covered with shame. Betrayal leaves a lasting mark. Modern life gives us countless parallels. Friends, colleagues, even family members sometimes act selfishly or exploit trust for personal gain. Obadiah teaches that such actions are never invisible. They leave consequences that will manifest, even if delayed. Divine justice in action. Obadiah makes it clear that God's justice is impartial and inevitable. Verse 15 states, "The day of the Lord is near for all nations. As you have done, it will be done to you. Your deeds will return upon your own head." This principle applies today. Exploitation, corruption, and arrogance might temporarily go unnoticed, but justice, divine, moral, or natural, always balances the scales. It's a warning. Live ethically and with integrity, or face consequences that may come in unexpected ways. Edom's downfall. Lessons on consequences. The Edomites' downfall illustrates the consequences of unchecked pride. Their mountains and fortresses couldn't save them. Alliances and heritage couldn't prevent collapse. Similarly, in modern life, no external advantage can protect unethical behavior. Success built on exploitation or arrogance is fragile. Integrity, humility, and ethical conduct are true protections. Obadiah reminds us that actions rooted in pride and selfishness eventually lead to collapse, while righteousness endures. Faithfulness and deliverance. Verse 17 provides hope. But on Mount Zion there will be deliverance. It will be holy, and Jacob will possess his inheritance. This promise is for those who remain faithful despite betrayal or adversity. For anyone experiencing injustice, Obadiah reassures that maintaining integrity and patience is never in vain. Deliverance is not always immediate, but it is inevitable for the righteous. This dual message, warning for the arrogant, hope for the faithful, remains relevant today. Practical lessons for modern life. Obadiah's warnings can guide our personal and social conduct. Humility over pride. Overconfidence blinds us to reality and risks downfall. Avoid exploitation. Using others for gain leads to inevitable consequences. Trust justice. Even if unseen, fairness and accountability prevail. Maintain integrity. Faithfulness and ethical behavior are rewarded in the long term. These lessons are universal, encouraging reflection on everyday choices and interactions. Human connection. Personal reflection. Imagine experiencing betrayal in life. A friend spreads rumors, a colleague steals credit, or a partner deceives you. The pain feels immense and often, justice seems delayed. Obadiah reminds us that nothing goes unseen. The Edomites' fate mirrors modern consequences. Arrogance and betrayal eventually bring shame, loss, or collapse. Obadiah encourages patience, ethical living, and trust in divine justice as a guide through life's challenges. Symbolism of Obadiah's imagery. The mountains, fortresses, and soaring eagles represent human attempts to secure power, status, or safety. Pride and arrogance can feel like protection, but Obadiah shows their fragility. The prophecy also highlights the duality of life. Wrongdoing leads to downfall, while faith and integrity lead to deliverance. These metaphors aren't just historical, they reflect timeless human patterns, making Obadiah profoundly relevant today. Warning to the arrogant. Verse 10, because of the violence against your brother Jacob, you will be covered with shame. Arrogance and exploitation always leave a mark. In modern society, this can manifest as corporate corruption, abuse of influence, or betrayal in relationships. Obadiah makes it clear, no one escapes accountability. Ethical living safeguards us, while pride and wrongdoing invite eventual shame. Hope for the faithful. Obadiah reassures those facing injustice. The faithful, who maintain integrity despite adversity, our promised deliverance. This is a timeless lesson. Remaining steadfast in ethics and faith, even when challenged, aligns us with a higher plan and ensures eventual reward. The contrast between the arrogant and the faithful is striking. Obadiah demonstrates that choices have real consequences and the righteous are never overlooked. Obadiah repeatedly emphasizes that ignoring divine warnings carries inevitable consequences. Verse 13 states, "You stood aloof while strangers carried off his wealth. You were like one of them." Edom did not just fail to help Israel, they actively participated in its suffering. In modern life, ignoring moral responsibility, remaining passive when witnessing injustice, or exploiting situations for personal gain can have serious repercussions. Obadiah teaches that passivity and complicity are not neutral, they are accountable. Pride as a root cause. Obadiah highlights pride as the root of Edom's downfall. Their mountains and fortresses were symbols of perceived invincibility. Verse 3 warns, "The pride of your heart has deceived you." In contemporary society, pride manifests in various ways: overconfidence in career, wealth, social influence, or even personal relationships. Obadiah's message is clear. Arrogance blinds, leading to moral decay and eventual collapse. No external advantage can protect those who let pride dictate their actions. Betrayal's lasting impact. Edom's betrayal is central to Obadiah's message. Verse 10 reminds us, "Because of the violence against your brother Jacob, you will be covered with shame." Betrayal, whether in personal relationships or broader society, leaves a permanent mark. Modern parallels are everywhere. Colleagues taking credit, friends exploiting trust, or leaders abusing power. The immediate benefits of betrayal may seem tempting, but Obadiah warns that consequences are unavoidable and often severe. Divine justice and moral order. Obadiah emphasizes that God's justice is inevitable and impartial. Verse 15 declares, "The day of the Lord is near for all nations. As you have done, it will be done to you. Your deeds will return upon your own head." This principle is timeless. In life today, unethical actions may temporarily escape notice, but moral and divine justice ultimately prevails. Obadiah urges mindfulness in every decision, reminding us that our choices have real, long-term effects. Edom's collapse as a warning. The fate of Edom is a powerful lesson. Despite their security and alliances, pride and betrayal led to destruction. Mountains, fortresses, and heritage could not prevent consequences. Modern lessons are clear. Relying on external advantages instead of ethical behavior is risky. Integrity, humility, and compassion are the true safeguards against collapse. Obadiah teaches that ethical living is timeless protection. Faithfulness amid adversity. Verse 17 provides hope. "But on Mount Zion there will be deliverance. It will be holy, and Jacob will possess his inheritance." Those who remain faithful, patient, and ethical in the face of injustice will ultimately see vindication. For individuals facing betrayal, injustice, or hardship today, this promise is powerful. It reassures that faith, integrity, and patience are never wasted. They lead to eventual deliverance. Practical applications today. Obadiah's lessons can guide modern life. Humility over pride. Overconfidence blinds judgment and invites downfall. Ethical conduct. Exploiting opportunities for personal gain leads to inevitable consequences. Trust in justice. Moral and divine accountability exists, even if unseen. Maintain faith and integrity. Ethical living ensures long-term reward and protection. These lessons encourage reflection on personal choices, relationships, and societal behavior. Human connection. Personal reflection. Think about betrayal in your own life. A friend deceives you, a colleague takes credit, or someone close celebrates your misfortune. The pain feels immediate and intense, but Obadiah reminds us that such actions are seen and accounted for. Edom's story mirrors the consequences of modern betrayal. Acting ethically, even in difficult circumstances, aligns us with long-term stability and moral protection. Symbolism and deeper meaning. Edom's high mountains, Fortresses and soaring imagery symbolize attempts to protect oneself with power or influence. Pride and arrogance may appear protective, but Obadiah exposes their fragility. The duality, wrongdoing leading to collapse, faithfulness leading to deliverance, is timeless. These patterns repeat in human behavior and society, making Obadiah as relevant today as it was thousands of years ago. Warning for the arrogant. Verse 10, because of the violence against your brother Jacob, you will be covered with shame. Arrogance and exploitation leave indelible consequences. In modern terms, this includes corruption, abuse of influence, or betrayal in personal relationships. Obadiah warns that consequences are unavoidable. Ethical living safeguards us, while pride and wrongdoing invite eventual shame or collapse. Hope for the faithful. Obadiah reassures those enduring injustice. Faithful individuals who act ethically despite adversity are promised deliverance. This dual message, warning for the arrogant, hope for the faithful, makes Obadiah universally applicable. Remaining steadfast in ethics and faith, even when challenged, aligns us with divine principles and ensures eventual reward. Obadiah makes the downfall of Edom vivid and unavoidable. Verse 4 says, though you soar like the eagle and make your nest among the stars, from there I will bring you down, declares the Lord. Their high vantage points, once symbols of safety, became powerless against divine judgment. In life today, we often rely on positions, wealth, or influence as shields. But Obadiah warns that no external advantage can protect unethical actions. The collapse of Edom serves as a metaphor. Arrogance and exploitation are ultimately self-destructive. Ignoring moral responsibility. Edom did more than betray Israel. They actively exploited its suffering. Verse 13. You stood aloof while strangers carried off his wealth. You were like one of them. This was willful complicity, not passive observation. Modern parallels are everywhere. Ignoring injustices in the workplace, community, or personal life may seem harmless, but passivity and complicity carry consequences. Obadiah emphasizes that failing to act ethically is a choice, and every choice has an outcome. Pride and arrogance. Obadiah 1 verse 3 highlights the root of Edom's downfall. The pride of your heart has deceived you. Pride created a false sense of security and invulnerability. Today, pride can appear in overconfidence, entitlement, or dismissiveness toward others. Obadiah's warning is timeless. Arrogance clouds judgment, leads to poor decisions, and sets the stage for collapse. Consequences of betrayal. Betrayal is central to Obadiah's warning. Verse 10, because of the violence against your brother Jacob, you will be covered with shame. Betrayal leaves lasting consequences. Modern examples abound. Personal betrayals, workplace manipulation, or leadership abuse often have delayed but inevitable consequences. Obadiah shows that harmful actions cannot escape accountability, whether moral, social, or divine. Divine justice and accountability. Verse 15 emphasizes fairness. The day of the Lord is near for all nations. As you have done, it will be done to you. Your deeds will return upon your own head. Justice, even if delayed, is certain. In contemporary life, unethical actions may temporarily go unnoticed, but consequences always follow. Obadiah teaches that every choice carries weight, and moral accountability is unavoidable. Faithfulness and deliverance. Verse 17 provides hope. But on Mount Zion there will be deliverance. It will be holy, and Jacob will possess his inheritance. Those who remain faithful and ethical in adversity are promised vindication. This promise is relevant today. Individuals facing betrayal, injustice, or hardship are reminded that patience, faith, and integrity lead to ultimate protection and reward. Obadiah balances warning with reassurance. Symbolism of mountains and fortresses. Edom's mountains and fortresses symbolize human attempts to secure power or safety. Pride creates illusions of invulnerability, but Obadiah exposes their fragility. These metaphors extend beyond history. They reflect universal patterns in human behavior. Arrogance and exploitation inevitably lead to collapse, while humility, faith, and integrity endure. Lessons for modern life. Obadiah's teachings apply directly to today. Humility protects. Overconfidence blinds judgment. Ethical action matters. Exploiting opportunities harms not just others, but ourselves. Justice is certain. Consequences, moral or divine, are unavoidable. Faith and patience reward. Integrity in adversity brings long-term deliverance. These principles guide decisions in relationships, work, and community life, reminding us that our choices matter. Human connection and reflection. Think about moments of betrayal or injustice in your life. A friend spreading rumors, a colleague taking credit, or a loved one betraying trust. The immediate pain may feel overwhelming, but Obadiah reassures that these actions are seen and will have consequences. Edom's story mirrors the eventual outcome of unethical actions. Ethical living, even under pressure, protects us and ensures eventual justice. Obadiah encourages reflection and accountability. The balance of warning and hope. Obadiah's dual message is timeless. Those who act arrogantly face downfall, while those who maintain integrity and faith are promised deliverance. Verse 17 reminds us that hope exists even amid adversity. For modern readers, this duality is powerful. It reassures the oppressed, challenges the arrogant, and encourages ethical living. Obadiah is short but profound, offering guidance for both personal behavior and societal responsibility. Obadiah 1 verse 3 says, "The pride of your heart has deceived you, you who live in the clefts of the rocks and make your home on the heights." Pride is the driving force behind Edom's arrogance. They believed their mountains, fortresses, and position made them invincible. Modern parallels are clear. People often rely on social status, wealth, or influence as shields against consequences. Obadiah teaches that pride is deceptive. No matter how secure one feels, ethical lapses and arrogance eventually lead to downfall. Betrayal as a universal warning. Obadiah repeatedly condemns Edom's betrayal. Verse 10, "Because of the violence against your brother Jacob, you will be covered with shame." Betrayal leaves long-lasting consequences. In contemporary life, betrayal occurs in many forms: personal relationships, professional environments, or societal interactions. The immediate gain may seem beneficial, but Obadiah warns that consequences are unavoidable and often severe. Divine justice in focus. Verse 15 emphasizes fairness. "The day of the Lord is near for all nations. As you have done, it will be done to you. Your deeds will return upon your own head." Justice, though sometimes delayed, is inevitable. Today, unethical behavior may appear to go unnoticed. However, moral and divine accountability always prevails. Obadiah reminds us that every decision carries weight, and ignoring ethics is never neutral. Edom's downfall as a lesson. Edom's destruction illustrates the consequences of unchecked pride and betrayal. Despite their mountains, fortresses, and heritage, they could not avoid the results of arrogance and exploitation. Modern lessons are clear. Relying on external advantages rather than ethical living is dangerous. Integrity, humility, and faithfulness are the true protections against collapse. Obadiah teaches that righteousness endures where pride fails. Faithfulness and deliverance. Verse 17 offers hope. "But on Mount Zion there will be deliverance. It will be holy, and Jacob will possess his inheritance." Those who remain faithful and ethical despite adversity are promised vindication. For anyone facing betrayal or hardship today, Obadiah reassures that patience, ethical behavior, and trust in God's timing are never wasted. Deliverance is guaranteed for the faithful. Symbolism and metaphor. The imagery of mountains, fortresses, and soaring eagles represents attempts to secure power and safety. Pride and arrogance may appear protective, but Obadiah exposes their fragility. These metaphors extend beyond history. They reflect universal patterns in human behavior. Arrogance and exploitation inevitably lead to collapse, while humility, faith, and integrity endure. Warning to the arrogant. Verse 10, Because of the violence against your brother Jacob, you will be covered with shame. Arrogance and exploitation leave lasting consequences. In modern society, this includes abuse of influence, betrayal in personal relationships, or unethical corporate behavior. Obadiah warns that accountability is unavoidable, no matter how distant or delayed consequences may seem. Hope for the faithful. Obadiah reassures the oppressed. Those who maintain integrity despite adversity are promised deliverance. This dual message, warning for the arrogant, hope for the faithful, remains universally applicable. Remaining steadfast in ethics and faith, even in challenging circumstances, ensures eventual reward and aligns one with divine principles. Obadiah 1 verse 4 vividly captures Edom's fall. Though you soar like the eagle and make your nest among the stars, from there I will bring you down, declares the Lord. Their lofty positions, once symbols of security, could not withstand the consequences of pride and betrayal. This imagery teaches us that no matter how elevated we feel in life, through wealth, influence, or status, arrogance and exploitation can lead to sudden and complete downfall. The higher the pride, the greater the fall. Consequences of betrayal and complicity. Obadiah 1 verse 13 warns, "You stood aloof while strangers carried off his wealth. You were like one of them." Edom's complicity in Israel's suffering magnified their guilt. In modern terms, ignoring injustice or exploiting the suffering of others carries lasting consequences. Complicity is not neutral. Obadiah reminds us that our actions, or inactions, affect our character and fate, and ethical negligence is never without cost. Pride and human deception. Verse 3 emphasizes the root of Edom's failure. The pride of your heart has deceived you. Pride creates a false sense of invulnerability, blinding individuals to reality. Today, pride manifests in arrogance, entitlement, and dismissiveness. Overconfidence can cloud judgment, leading to unethical choices or harm to others. Obadiah teaches that pride is a deceptive protector. It promises security, but delivers collapse. Divine justice and moral accountability. Verse 15 reminds us, "The day of the Lord is near for all nations. As you have done, it will be done to you. Your deeds will return upon your own head." Justice, whether moral, social, or divine, is inevitable. Even when wrongdoing appears hidden or consequences delayed, Obadiah assures that every choice is accounted for. Ethical lapses cannot escape justice, reinforcing the importance of integrity in every decision. Faithfulness and hope. Verse 17 provides a beacon of hope. "But on Mount Zion there will be deliverance. It will be holy, and Jacob will possess his inheritance." Those who remain faithful and righteous, even under pressure or injustice, are promised protection and ultimate vindication. This duality, warning for the arrogant, hope for the faithful, is central to Obadiah's enduring message. For modern audiences, it reassures that maintaining integrity and patience is never futile. Symbolism. Mountains, fortresses, and eagles. Edom's imagery reflects human attempts to secure power and protection. Mountains, fortresses, and soaring eagles symbolize status, influence, and perceived invulnerability. Pride may create illusions of safety, but Obadiah exposes their fragility. These metaphors extend beyond history. Arrogance and exploitation inevitably lead to collapse, while humility, faith, and integrity endure. Obadiah's imagery communicates moral truths in vivid, unforgettable ways. Modern lessons from Obadiah. Obadiah's teachings apply directly to contemporary life. Humility over pride. Overconfidence blinds judgment and invites downfall. Act with integrity. Exploiting others or remaining passive in injustice carries consequences. Trust in justice, moral and divine accountability is unavoidable. Faithfulness rewarded. Patience and ethical behavior ensure long-term deliverance. These principles guide personal behavior, relationships, and community ethics, reminding us that our actions always matter. Human connection, reflecting on life choices. Consider personal experiences of betrayal or injustice, friends deceiving trust, colleagues taking credit, or leaders exploiting others. Obadiah reassures that such actions are seen, accounted for, and will face consequences. Edom's story mirrors modern outcomes. Unethical behavior eventually brings shame, loss, or collapse. Ethical living, patience, and faithfulness protect us and align us with justice. The dual message, warning and hope. Obadiah's balance is striking. Those who act arrogantly face downfall, while the faithful who maintain integrity are promised deliverance. Verse 17 reminds us that even amid adversity, hope and justice prevail. On Mount Zion, there will be deliverance. This dual message resonates across generations, offering guidance to both the powerful and the oppressed. Obadiah calls for ethical living, moral vigilance, and steadfast faith. Practical takeaways for today. Applying Obadiah in modern life. Check pride. Don't let ego cloud decisions. Act ethically. Avoid harming others, even for short-term gain. Trust justice. Consequences may be delayed, but they are inevitable. Stay faithful. Integrity, patience, and ethical conduct bring long-term reward. By following these principles, we navigate modern challenges with clarity, avoiding mistakes that lead to collapse and fostering a culture of responsibility and justice. Final reflection. Obadiah's message is timeless. It reminds us that pride, betrayal, and arrogance are persistent human flaws, while faith, humility, and integrity provide protection and reward. Edom's story is more than history. It is a mirror for every generation, offering lessons for personal and societal conduct. The book challenges us to reflect on our choices, to act ethically even when it's difficult, and to trust that justice, whether divine or moral, is inevitable. Obadiah is short in length but monumental in impact, making it one of the most important books of the Bible for anyone seeking guidance, wisdom, and moral clarity. Closing, the end of the journey. As we conclude the series, remember the dual lessons of Obadiah, the warning for the arrogant and the hope for the faithful. Pride and betrayal lead to inevitable consequences, while humility, integrity, and faithfulness bring ultimate deliverance. Let Obadiah's story guide your choices, strengthen your moral compass, and remind you that even in a complex world, justice, patience, and ethical living always prevail.